only one team in the West had better television numbers this year than BYU. That team not propped up by ESPN, but the Oregon Ducks, who played a lot of big games and took on a lot of big matchups in the Big Ten. Their numbers rivaled by BYU's, and then they crush everybody else. So BYU, the team of the West.
Yep, the numbers are in, and the Big 12 actually performed super, super well here. Surprising numbers, by the way. Utah way below the mark that I thought they would be. Utah in viewership, that is. And BYU right there with Oregon, contending for the number one spot in the West when it comes to TV viewership. And what we know is it's very important to have TV viewership at the forefront of how you play your football games. Like, whoa, no, wins don't actually matter as much as TV viewership. Like, no, that doesn't mean it. Well, yeah, this year USC had a worse season than Utah, but they had 30.37 million people tune into their games. Utah had 14.79. And as silly as it is, we give you money based on how many TV viewers you bring in. We give you cash. You get to stay alive in college football if people are watching you. It's a brand game at this point. It's a game of whether or not you have staying power based on who has their eyeballs on you. And a lot of times when that comes, somebody posed me, I'm about to cook. Somebody gave me the question.
Cook on, Drake, cook on.
They said, the Big 12, nobody watches the Big 12. TV viewership numbers for the Big 12 are so much lower than anybody else. It must mean the SEC is the only fan base. Those are the only places that care. Did you know when we put say, number 7 Indiana versus number 9 Illinois on TV, millions and millions of people watch that? TJ, historically, people don't care about the brands Illinois or Indiana in college football. You know what they care about? Those numbers.
Ratings, yeah.
They love when that little number is next to your name. College Game Day loves Fox Big Noon Kickoff. They love when that little number is next to your name. These rankings that lean toward the SEC or lean toward the Big Ten, they dictate a lot of what we watch when it comes to college football. Do I care about watching Washington play UCLA? No, I don't. But I do care a lot more when UCLA is number 4 in the country and Washington is number 7. You put those numbers, and now it has a more seismic effect on the teams that I care about that sit around the top 10. Now, if I'm a Texas Tech fan, a BYU fan, a Utah fan, I care about that game because I'm rooting for someone to win or lose and affect how the college football playoff standings shake out. The reason the Big 12 gets less viewership is not because, the fan bases just don't care as much. It's because they're so pushed down the rankings. They don't get the opportunity to play these higher ranked games because the AP poll is swayed toward the best conference in college football, the SEC, which is not actually the best conference in college football. It's certainly the Big 10. So Oregon being at 1 makes a lot of sense. BYU being at 2, they had 37.56 million viewers this year in football. Again, USC 30.37. Washington, BYU had 13 million more than Washington. 17 million more than Colorado. They almost doubled up. They doubled up officially UCLA and almost tripled up Utah. That is crazy. In a year where the Big 12 needed a lot of viewership, where the Big 12 needed to shine, Texas Tech and BYU were the 2 schools that gave it to you. Colorado's still up there as well, beating out Utah by 6 million viewers. That's massive for this conference. It gives the Big 12 something to look forward to next year. Having numbers like this give you, hey, this is your basis for continuing to succeed and grow fans and grow numbers and grow TV revenue moving forward. It's a really great base, really good for BYU football, really good for the Big 12 conference, and puzzling for Utah, but solid for those of us who love college football.
Well, the BYU fans that tune in won't hate hearing that part of it. Okay. You mentioned the numbers next to the name. I mean, you're so spot on there. I mean, look at the way that let's keep it close to home. Look at the way that Florida State's rankings looked at the beginning of the year versus later in the year. Florida State is a top. I mean, look, I'll be somewhat conservative by saying, to me, Florida State has a top 10 to 15 brand in the sport. Like just logo recognition, brand, fan base size, things like that, right? I'm not talking about how good or bad of a program they are. Top 10 to 15 brand, easily, right? I think I'd have them ranked like right around 13th because I've done this before. That's a big brand that people want to watch. When they play Alabama, and that's a ranked team, people want to watch. That game did bonkers numbers. On a Friday night, the Florida State-Virginia game, because Florida State was ranked 10th in the country, huge numbers for a Friday night, right? Didn't really compare to the Alabama game that was a standalone game at 3:30 on ABC. However, still massive numbers. Florida State loses that game. They play Miami the next week. You've got a ranked-on-ranked matchup. Florida State and Miami, 2, again, top 15 brands in the sport. 1 loss combined between them. Huge matchup. Even Florida State coming off the loss. bonkers numbers for that game. Florida State loses that one. They lose to Pitt. They lose a few more. They're on the kind of a tailspin. Guess what people stopped doing? They stopped watching. Even though Florida State is a top brand in the sport, people stopped watching them. Now, inverse. Look at Indiana. Beginning of the year. Indiana was ranked, no doubt. They were a good team. Look at their beginning of the year numbers. Not very good, because people were like, they're still going to follow. Like, what's going to happen? Like, I'm removing the Big 12 from this. Like, I'm not even talking about, the church with BYU or the portal intrigue with Texas Tech. No, we'll just remove the Big 12. Indiana, late in the year, everybody wanted to watch them. Why? The number next to their name kept getting smaller and smaller and smaller. That is how we watch football. Even if you don't want to watch that, that's what these networks force down your throat.
Yeah.
That's what they make you watch. You got to go to ESPN 7 to find a Florida State Clemson game in November because both teams are under 500. But you flip on your TV and you see a ranked Indiana playing Penn State, even though Penn State didn't have a great year. Everyone watched that comeback because it was big noon kickoff. That's what they make you watch. And so it's almost like it's double stacked. Not only in our minds do we see, Kansas State, Iowa State, not a good game. Don't want to watch it. Kansas State, Iowa State. I know that happened in Dublin, so maybe I'm cheating there. But Kansas State, Iowa State, a ranked matchup, a 13 versus 15. Well, this is a college football playoff eliminator. I got to watch it. Whether you care about those programs or not, you tune in. And not only does that the way our minds work with the way that we watch games, ESPN makes you watch it because they put it at 3:30 on ESPN or ABC. You don't have to go to an app to find it. You don't have to go searching, 7 dials down the station to find it on your radio. Those are the games you have to watch because that's what gets put on TV. And so now, all that's good, right? If your team's winning and they're ranked and things like that. It goes back to another conversation we had. Who is always ranked, Drake? Who is always ranked? No matter who they play, no matter how well they look, they're always ranked if they're in the SEC, right? There are, of the 25 teams ranked, there are at any given time 10 or 11 teams ranked. And so they always are on TV. It's always a ranked matchup. Very rarely, we should go through and do this. How many non-ranked SEC matchups, where at least one team was ranked, how many of them happened this year? Like, I understand if Auburn played Mississippi State, neither team was ranked.
Yeah.
But I would say there were more ranked matchups, not ranked on ranked, but just one of the two teams being ranked in the SEC than there weren't this year.
And that creates viewership, right?
Yeah. When you have that, you artificially inflate your viewership. Now, those fans, listen, we never really get on the SEC fans. They can be quirky. I get that. They are loyal fans. Like, Tennessee fans have packed that 100,000 person stadium out for years. It doesn't matter how good they are, how bad they are. Nebraska fans the same way. Like, I get it, right? There are good fans all over. And so I'm not getting on the fans. South Carolina fans packed out that stadium at Williams-Rice this year, despite having nothing to cheer for. So I'm not getting on the fan so much, but your average viewer, your casual viewer that's not a fan of that team watches because of the rankings next to their name. And they watch because that's what the ABC game happens to be, or the ESPN 8 p.m. game happens to be. And they're double stacking the deck because they're not putting the ACC many times. They're not putting the Big 12 many times. Obviously, ESPN's never put the Big 10 on because Fox has the contract, but they're not putting those games on many times. They are putting on the games that make them the most money. And ultimately, that's the SEC. They artificially inflate their rankings. They artificially inflate their recruiting rankings so that they can do that later. And then they artificially inflate their wallets because, well, not even artificially. They inflate their wallets because the viewership at the end of the day helps them. So, all that said, a massive credit to BYU to be able to break through a lot of this as their fan base continues to become more emboldened, more impassionate, more intriguing because of the size of the church and the size of the support and the size of everything else that goes on. I think they'll continue to climb here. Not to mention, they've done a terrible job, the national networks, ESPN, of covering Indiana. If this was Georgia, like I remember vividly the Georgia. Just keep it in the conference. Yeah. Michigan, USC, any of these teams. I remember Georgia, Alabama, that national championship. It was wall to wall for 10 days. You turn on ESPN, that's all it was. This morning I was watching ESPN, I guess yesterday morning, depending on when you're listening to this, watching ESPN and Steelers coaching update. Steelers coaching update with the national championships tonight. Yeah. Indiana's maybe the best college football team of all time. I would argue LSU 2019 was the best pro-ready. The best, had the best potential, pro potential of any college football team ever. Like, they were an incredible pro-level football team. Indiana's a great college football team,
right? They're like one of those wily Gonzaga basketball teams. Like, there may not be a draft pick in the bunch. They're really good for what they are in college because they're all 23, 24, 25 years old. It's what Indiana was this season. And ESPN's like, well, wonder who the Steelers are going to hire. Like, no, you would not do that if Alabama was playing against Ohio State or one of those legacy matchups, Michigan versus LSU. You wouldn't see that, but it's exactly what we get now. It's again, we're furthering the death of college football by making it a TV viewership game. And if you don't play along, if you don't have good numbers, you wither away.
Yeah. Drake, thanks for hanging out today, buddy. I appreciate you.
Yeah. Anytime, TJ.